Welcome. Today, we're diving deep into the foundations of supervisory management, exploring everything from ancient wisdom to the practices that define the modern workplace. It's going to be a fascinating journey.
So let's start with a question that might sound a little strange. What could an ancient Indian strategist possibly teach a modern factory supervisor? Well, as you're about to see, the answer is a lot. The core principles of managing people, it turns out, are pretty timeless.
Before we go any further, what do we even mean by management? It's not just about being the boss or telling people what to do. At its heart, it's this incredible blend of art and science. It's all about coordinating a group of people to get something done, together. It's about creating order out of potential chaos.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the big picture of what management is. Then we're going to jump back in time to uncover some ancient wisdom. After that, we'll see how the science of efficiency completely changed the game. And finally, we'll put together a practical toolkit you can start using right away.
All right, let's kick things off with that fundamental question. What is management really? And why is it sort of the invisible engine that makes every single successful organization run? Think about it like this. Without good management, you've got chaos, wasted time, wasted money, and confused people. With it, you get a well-oiled machine that can actually grow and innovate. Good management is what allows massive companies, say a Tata or a Reliance, to navigate a constantly changing world and still come out on top.
Now, you might think of management as a pretty modern Western concept, but its roots go so much deeper. We're going to explore how the Indian knowledge system, for centuries, has beautifully blended the ideas of ethics and efficiency.
And we're talking about a history that spans millennia here, from the Vedic era's focus on harmony to Chanakya's absolute masterclass in strategy, all the way to the complex bureaucracy of the Mughal Empire. These aren't just interesting historical facts. Nope, they are the actual foundations of how we think about management today. Let's zoom in on a really powerful ancient framework. Way back around 300 BCE, the brilliant strategist Chanakya laid out what he called the Saptanga, 7 pillars that were absolutely essential for a state to succeed. And as we're about to see, these pillars apply perfectly to any successful organization.
And this is where it gets kind of mind-blowing. Look at how perfectly these ancient ideas map onto a modern company. The Swami, the leader, that's your CEO. The Amacha, the ministers, those are your department managers. And the Janapada, the land and the people, that's your customer base. It is literally a blueprint for success that's over 2,000 years old, and it's just as relevant today.
Okay, now let's hit the fast-forward button a couple of thousand years, right into the Industrial Revolution. This is where a totally different way of thinking about management starts to take shape, one that's all about science, engineering, and squeezing out every last drop of efficiency.
At the center of this whole movement, you've got these two titans, F.W. Taylor and Henri Fayol. Taylor was obsessed with the micro level. He was down on the factory floor with a stopwatch, trying to find the one best way to do any given task. Fayol, on the other hand, was looking at the macro, the big picture. He was trying to figure out the universal principles for running an entire organization.
You know, Fayol's principles are basically the invisible architecture of almost every company you've ever worked for. Ever wonder why you have just one boss? That's unity of command. Or why companies do team-building offsites? That's esprit de corps. These ideas are so fundamental to how we work, we don't even think about them anymore.
Okay, so we've looked at the history, we've covered the theory, but how does any of this help you on a hectic Tuesday morning? Let's get super practical and start building a toolkit for the modern supervisor, beginning with the single most important person you will ever have to manage, yourself. And here's the absolute truth, the bottom line. You simply cannot lead a team effectively if you can't lead yourself. It's a lesson you hear from ancient philosophers and in modern business schools. Self-mastery is the bedrock of leadership. You got to get your own house in order first.
So a really powerful tool for this is the Eisenhower Matrix. It helps you cut through the noise by asking just 2 simple questions. Is this task urgent, and is it important? If it's both urgent and important, you do it first. If it's important but not so urgent, you schedule it for later. Urgent but not that important, delegate it. And if it's neither, you just delete it. Get it off your plate.
But look, self-management is way more than just a fancy to-do list. It's that inner work of leadership, really knowing your own strengths and weaknesses, having the discipline to see things through, and knowing how to manage your own stress. This is the stuff that makes great leadership possible.
So once you've built that solid foundation of self-management, we can start looking outward. Let's talk about the skills you need to not just manage, but to truly lead and develop your team.
I absolutely love this quote from the management legend Peter Drucker because it nails a critical difference. Management is about execution, efficiency, doing things right. But leadership is about vision. It's about making sure you're doing the right things in the first place. A great supervisor, well, they do both.
This is where the really human side of management shines. We're talking about the ability to negotiate outcomes where everyone wins, to resolve conflicts with fairness, to give feedback that actually helps people grow, and most of all, to inspire your team to work towards something bigger.
And why is this focus so critical? Well, get a load of this number, 40%. Research shows that constantly switching between tasks, multitasking, can slash productivity by up to 40%. A huge part of your job as a manager is to be a shield, to protect your team from those distractions so they can do their absolute best work.
So, we've journeyed from ancient philosophy all the way to modern science, just to understand what makes a great manager. And it leaves us with this huge question for the future. In an age where AI is automating more and more tasks, will those uniquely human skills of leadership, of empathy, of connection, will they not only survive, but actually become the most valuable things of all? Something to think about.